I will be confining this review to the Archie Luxury YouTube channel, which I will refer to as Archie. The guy who does Archie does a number of other YouTube channels as well, including Archie Luxury Corporate and Paul Pluta. Although I had known of the existence of Archie for some time, I had been unable to watch the show for more than about 10 seconds, as I found the guy who played Archie to be an elitist prick. It was not until I was forced to review the channel critically that it became clear to me that all was not as it seemed, that this was not an elitist prick doing a watch show, but a guy playing an elitist prick doing a watch show. The first Archie that I attempted to sit through was this one. It started out with an over-the-top intro that presented Archie as a rich, jet-setting playboy. Then, for about a minute, I'm presented with a madman in a cluttered office who's very excited about something. The scene changes to the madman bitching and moaning about carpet beetles which have destroyed his carpet. This goes on for another minute. Now the madman is in a tuxedo, reassuringly telling the viewer how the Archie Luxury channel is here for the viewer during these trying times. We go back to the madman bitching and moaning about his carpet for the next 2 minutes, only to be interrupted briefly by the madman doing what appears to be a commercial endorsement. We go back to 3 more interrupted minutes of bitching and moaning about carpet beetles. The video lasts for 22 minutes and keeps getting weirder. By this point, I knew I was not dealing with standard entertainment that was homogenized and pasteurized for mainstream consumption, but art. Archie injects at least one more video with pieces of bitching and moaning about carpet beetles. I came across another Archie non-watch related video that was even more surreal than the first video that I had watched. In this video, Archie is out on the street bitching and moaning about how horrible it was that a Bentley was being repossessed, and what a beautiful car this Bentley was. I have no idea what a Bentley looks like, but the irony was that this car, which Archie was fawning over, didn't seem that impressive to me. It wasn't entirely clear to me why this Bentley was being towed. It could have been stolen for all we, the observer, know. One of the things that made this video so bizarre and surreal was that the towers seemed to be replacing the Bentley that had been towed with another car that they had on a truck. It was absolute madness. The video was not only a work of artistic genius, but a brilliant work of improvisation. This type of video doesn't belong on YouTube, it belongs in a museum of modern art. Archie sometimes says this at the beginning of his shows.
Hi guys, I'm Paul Pluta, the method actor who plays Archibald Chesterfield III.
This is a joke, but the irony is that this is probably the truth, or at least a lot closer to the truth than the fictional character of the whiny playboy that the actor is portraying. Archie is primarily a show about luxury watches, and this content can get very esoteric. I suspect it will only appeal to hardcore watch fetishists. I don't think that even someone as entertaining as Archie can pull off making a subject as dull and drab as watches entertaining enough for the non-watch person. As a dispenser of watch information, Archie is the real deal. He wears a lot of vintage watches on the show. I know nothing about vintage watches, nor have any interest in them. In one episode, Archie unboxed an absolutely beautiful new Patek, and I was like, holy fuck. Most non-watch fetishists think Rolex is at the top of the watch food chain, but Patek is above Rolex in the watch food chain. This was one impressive and expensive watch. Ironically, 6 months later, post-COVID, Archie did a show about how he had to abort trying to sell this Patek as the market had become too soft. Archie reviews people's watch collections for a fee and does these reviews on his channel. In one review, Archie reviewed the collection of someone who described himself as working class. Archie did his job in this review. He pretty politely, by Archie standards, told the guy that his collection was garbage. I agreed with Archie's assessment of the guy's collection, and I agreed with most of Archie's advice, which was to invest in a few good watches rather than pissing away money on a collection of watches that are at best mediocre. The piece of advice that I didn't agree with was Archie's suggestion that the guy might consider not wearing a watch at all. I suspect this was hyperbole, but even if it wasn't hyperbole, Archie's channel is about luxury watches, and it's unrealistic to expect a channel that is about luxury watches to endorse the wearing of non-luxury watches. I agree with just about everything that Archie says about watches. There's a video on Archie's channel, not done by Archie, called Technical Reasons Some $500 through $3,000 Low to Mid-Tier Watches Are Crap. This is probably the most important watch video ever made because it provides a sound, understandable explanation as to why mid-tier automatic watches are, at best, a risky gamble for the consumer. From the small sample of episodes that I saw of Archie's channel, I saw no evidence that Archie engaged in the repellent practice of what I call watch whoring, which is the acceptance of a free watch from a watch company in exchange for a review. In fact, what I saw was quite the opposite. The Average Bros Watch channel was reported by Archie to have paid him $50 for an endorsement of the Watch Bros channel. And listen to what Archie has to say about the Watch Bros channel.
Tell you, man, he is a cool dude. This guy is cool. He's amazing. He's doing reviews on penna knives. He's doing reviews on NATOs. He did a review on a Yema. He did a review on some really interesting cheap garbage Casios. He's done a review on Seiko, Albany watches. I never heard of half this garbage. You know, I never heard of this garbage. But he's a good guy. The guy is cool. He's cool as a cucumber. I love him. He's Mark. And he's from Average Bros. Click the link, go to his channel, check out the garbage.
Archie goes on to trash Average Bros for the entire video. One of the reasons why I stopped doing watch reviews was because it was not a level playing field, where a guy like myself trying to make an honest living reviewing watches could compete, as I was competing against the unprincipled low-life trash that Archie mocks and derides on his channel. I'm not sure when Archie's first video was posted, but YouTube lists Archie as first joining YouTube in 2009. So I suspect he was one of the first watch channels. Considering the length of Archie's tenure on YouTube and the impressive watches that he's shown up with on his wrist, his subscribership of 63,000 is surprisingly small. This might be because many people who, like me, have no attention span conflated the actor playing Archie with Archie and prematurely dismissed him. But I suspect that there's more to it than this. I suspect that it's largely due to his sophisticated, non-binary presentation of content. For example, in his Seiko is for Losers video, he bashes the brand, but also subtly, though quite intentionally, contradicts his own argument. Few things in life are either all good or all bad, and this includes watches, and Archie is conveying this principle in a very witty presentation of information. For this video, Archie has twice as many dislikes as likes. This is something you never see on a relatively popular YouTuber's channel such as Archie's. Why had this video gotten so much hate? The reason is that our education system doesn't train people to analyze information critically. Archie probably pissed off a lot of Seiko lovers, and because of misguided brand loyalty and an inability to fully understand what was being said in the video, these uneducated and weak men who couldn't handle criticism lashed out at Archie by disliking the video. Archie's low ratings for this video are not a reflection of his failure. The video was a work of genius, but a failure as a so-called civilized society to properly train children at a very early age how to interpret non-binary information. There's a watch YouTuber called The Time Teller who has in only 3 years amassed twice the subscriber base as Archie. From watching Archie, it has become clear to me that the time teller uses a dumbed-down, bastardized version of Archie's format. The time teller takes extreme positions on watches like Archie, but unlike Archie, there is no subtlety. The time teller's arguments are always black and white and extreme and stupid. People are comfortable with this. There is no room for gray area in the modern world. Archie uses hyperbole a lot for both comic effect and persuasion. People are not taught how to process information like this. People are not trained to deal with any type of abstraction. People want information that is black and white and easily digestible. In the United States, the function of our education system is not to teach young people how to think, but what to think. If young people were taught how to think, then they'd realize how people in power are fucking them. And with this realization, they might want to rise up against the fuckers. Another big difference between the time teller and Archie is that while Archie plays a guy who is a clown, the time teller is the clown. The time teller relies on sophomoric diatribes and employs cheap editing techniques like the smash cut and extreme close-ups to be amusing to the unsophisticated viewer. Archie doesn't need to do this, as he's actually funny. While the time teller talks as if he's intimately familiar with high-end watches, he never actually has these watches on his wrist. Whereas Archie, as I've shown, is unboxing brand new Pateks. Archie has cred, and he also talks about watches in a way that only someone with great expertise with watches can talk. The time teller is a fake watch expert, an imposter who, unlike Archie, has zero cred and zero charm. The time teller's far greater success at operating a fake watch channel is a credit to our educational system, which has made us so stupid that, for example, in the upcoming US election, both candidates for president have neurological deterioration that is so advanced that they cannot string together coherent grammatical sentences. Both are serial liars, both have a long history of racism and exploiting racism for personal gain. Both are Wall Street whores, both candidates are misogynists. One of them called a woman a horseface, the other called a woman a dog-faced pony soldier. Neither candidate will confront the environmental catastrophe that will very soon make the Earth an unlivable place for humans and most other species. One of the candidates, in fact, is in a race to destroy the world as quickly and efficiently as possible. We owe this freak show to our educators for making us morons. I really wanted to wrap this review up very neatly and cleanly on an overwhelmingly positive note, but I'm unable to do this. I came across what I think is a racist remark in Archie's Seiko is for Losers video.
I'll take the Euro trash any day of the week. And this is the problem, see? Those Japanese, they're very clever little fuckers. They're very clever.
I know a lot of people are going to have a wig out about my saying this was a racist statement, and in the comments, they're going to be like,
"How dare you?"
I've given this a lot of thought, and I've come to the conclusion that this was a subtly racist remark that crossed a line. I don't think bigotry is funny. I don't think it's ever been funny, and when I see it, I'm going to call it out. Whether Archie or the guy playing Archie is a bigot or not, the guy playing Archie is a genius, artist, and watch expert with a lot of really good advice. If what Archie was saying about average bros was true, and I have no reason to believe it wasn't, then the Queen of England should get off her lazy welfare mother ass, pick up a sword, and knight the guy who plays Archie for having the balls to call out the reeking bullshit that goes on in the YouTube watch channel world.